What's going on, people? SirQsiF here, and today we're going to be talking about the 10 most beautiful swords in One Piece, and we're going to be ranking them. Now, this ranking is going to consist of the hilt, the blade, the sheath, and just the overall aesthetic of the sword. And without further ado, let's get into it. And then at number 10, we have Soul Solid, owned by none other than the Soul King himself, Brook. And to be honest, it's just a really nice looking sword. It's a cane sword, it's purple, which is my second favorite color, and it's just a really nice looking sword. It's not the flashiest, but it's not the worst looking, but I think it earned its spot at number 10. Coming in at number 9, we have Shirao, or Ice Fish, owned by Charlotte Amande. Now, I know what y'all thinking, really, this sword? But let's be honest, the aesthetic they were going for, it's a sword named Ice Fish. The hilt is scales and the guard is a little fish. Come on now, what's not to like about that? Now this is Nadachi, which is a really long sword, which fits really well for Amande, seeing as she's also really tall. And this is a Meito grade sword, but unfortunately we just don't know what grade it is. So I think it earns spot number 9. At number 8, I have Yubashiri, one of the former swords of Ruinori Zoro. This sword's name translated is Snow Race or Snow Run. And this real Wazamono grade sword doesn't really do anything special. What it does do is keep it simple. Black hilt, black sheath, adorned with a nice gold guard and gold button on the hilt, which really gives it a pop. But aside from that, it's just a very simple katana, which there is absolutely nothing wrong with. And that's why I think it sits at number 8. Sliding in at number 7, we have Kakoku, or Demon's Well, which up until this point, we haven't seen it do anything regarding a whale of any sort. And this is supposed to be a Yoto sword. But honestly, the only thing that I can tell from this sword is that it hands law L's. But that's not what we're here for. Now, this sword really isn't all that when you look at it. It's got a purple grip, which ain't nothing wrong with that. The sheath is really nice because it's all black and it has crosses on it. You even got a little strap for law to carry it. What really sets this sword aside is the guard, seeing as it's, to my knowledge, the only sword that has a fluffy guard, which that's really what sets it apart. It doesn't do anything different. It doesn't have a grade. That's about it. But that being said, I think what it does have puts it at number 7. Coming in at number 6, I have Shigure, owned by the Marine Captain Tashigi. This sword's name is translated to Late Autumn Rain, which just sounds nice. It's a Wazamono grade sword, and it is, as I said before, just beautiful. A hilt wrapped in green, the pommel and guard encrusted in gold, the sheath all white with the kajiri also matching the pommel and guard. I don't think that this sword could get any better, and it's owned by someone that earns it, unlike the next one. And at number 5, I have Funkfried, owned unfortunately by Spondum. Now, y'all can't sit there and lie to me and say that Funkfried don't look cool. It literally has tusk on the guard. I don't think I need to say much more. But y'all can't hate on the sword because it's owned by someone trash. The sword itself ain't do nothing to nobody. But I do think it earned its spot at number 5 on this list. Also, it has a tail for the pommel. And at number 4 is Ryu, owned by Shiryu. Now, Ryu is translated as thunderstorm, which makes a lot of sense for the wielder and the sword. But I choose Ryu here because the guard itself has a very nice flower pattern under it. It's very square, but the flower pattern makes up for it. The hilt is just a very traditional katana, red. But the sheath is beautiful. Red transitioning into white. I don't think there's very many swords that even come close to how beautiful this one is. But it's only at number 4. So we're going to see what the number 3, 2, and 1 are. But before I get to the top 3, I'll throw in some honorable mentions. Starting with the Katetsus. These were all pretty nice, and it's really hard to really decide between which one is better than the other. But I just think that overall, there were just a couple more swords that were better than it. And we also have Napoleon. Now, nothing's wrong with Napoleon, but to be honest, it really only looks like that because of Big Mom's Devil Fruit. Then we have T-Bone Sword. T-Bone Sword just, it looks nice. It fits the aesthetic, and it was comparable to what T-Bone was wearing. And the last one is Griffin. Nothing's wrong with Griffin, it just looks really nice, but there were just some better swords on the list. Now, let's get to number 3. Coming in at number 3 is one of only 2 Kokotos, and that is Yoru, aka Knight, owned by the greatest swordsman in the world, Mihawk. Now, this sword is really nice. It really is. Like the black blade, the cross aesthetic that it has going for it, the bluish, sometimes green gems that it has on it, the gold to offset the black. It has everything. It's just too damn big. Pause. But with that size comes with a great user, because I don't think there's very many swordsmen that could wield this sword. But I just think the next 2 are just slightly better than it. And at number 2 is Enma. Now, Enma has a very nice purple theme to it. It's another one of Zoro's swords, so obviously Zoro has the most swords of anybody, obviously, so of course he's got to be on the list at least 3-4 times. But nonetheless, very beautiful purple. It's very regal looking. The guard looks like a flower. And I guess the only thing really holding it back from being number 1 is that it's not a black blade. It would be very cool to see Zoro pulling that off later on in the series. I really hope he does, because I think this thing could easily be the best looking sword in this show. But with that being said, let's get to number 1. Finally, coming in at number 1 is none other than SirQsiF. Now, let's be honest. I don't think anyone was surprised that SirQsiF was going to be number 1. Like, come on now. The black on black. The hamon. Very beautiful reddish. The hilt. Just beautiful. The sheath. All black with little red designs on it. I don't think there's anything that could even come close to how beautiful this sword looks. But that being said, that's the end of the list, and I did have a little fun making this because it made me sit and think, hey, what are all the swords that are in the One Piece landscape? And I had to look it up. It actually made me look into what certain things were, like the hamon. I didn't know what that was. The kajiri, which is the bottom end of the sheath, I didn't know what that was. Just little things here and there that I, learned as I was making this list. So I did have a little fun making it. But with that being said, this is the end of the top 10 list. But if you guys would like to see more of this, feel free to subscribe and let me know what y'all want to see next. I think I'm gonna do bleach next, but until then, I'll see y'all later.